Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, I have got an extra special treat joining me in the Hit Lab today, folks. We're going to get right into it today, folks. Check it out. He's a CEO, a founder, and a podcaster, all right? He's the founder of the Eagle Eye Experience and Central Coast Creatives, all right? He is the host of the Manual Podcast Show. My man, my new partner, as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that as well. Antjuan Robinson. How we doing, baby?
Let's go. Keep going. I was ready for more. Like, what else you got on the paper, man? I love it. Thanks for having me here, man. I'm so excited to be here. I know we talked about this a couple times, but we're finally shooting buckets today, and I'm excited.
First hit of the day, baby. First hit of the day.
Let's go.
Well, dude, there's like, so I just real quick, folks. I met Antjuan. I was doing a keynote. And just through the grapevine, we needed somebody that was really, really good to capture that keynote. And somehow I got the man himself that stepped up and was able to do it for us. And I was so eternally grateful. I knew you did a good job. And I knew that I was like, man, he's special. But my editing team was who really confirmed it, because they got to dive into what you shot. And they immediately hit me back and said, dude, what did y'all do with this? This is the best footage we've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
True story.
Wow. Come on, man.
True story.
I'm pumping priming today, man. I'm just here to serve. That's awesome.
That's what we're here to do. Well, like, folks, check it out. Like, when it comes to cinematic videography, in my opinion, hands down, this guy has set the bar. He's raised the bar and he's set the bar. He set the standard, and it's why I had to have him involved in my life, aside from all the spiritual stuff, right? Antjuan, like, dude, you're the best at it, man. What is the secret sauce? Like, what makes you so good at that? Yeah.
Well, the secret really is making it not so much a secret, really exposure. If you think about it, and this is just me, God gave us everything we needed to survive and to be created. Matter of fact, the Bible says in the beginning, God created. So he was already a creator, and he gave us trees, mountains, water, all those things, which is already crazy. But I think being exposed, no pun intended, even with the camera game, but being exposed to the right people to help you set that bar. I think I was lucky and blessed to be around guys who were setting bars, even when I didn't know they were setting the bars. But I could start to tell a difference at a younger age. Like, wait, that's way different than this. This is a little bit sloppy. This isn't really attentive to details. And this person is like, so my taste for not only like fashion growing up, but sound and all of it really just started to mix with the friends that I had, the company I would keep, and then even the mentors and fathers that they had. Guys who would really take note of, like, oh man, how are you dressed from head to toe? You know, that's why when I see you, I'm looking at your kicks first.
Yes,
like,
right.
Okay, he's got a good kick game, but that's imagery. That's with the eye. So learning in the cinematic world what it takes to be able to get the shot right all starts with one of the greatest gifts I think God has given us is the ability to imagine and create. And so hit him. And so really, that's really where it starts for me, is that ability to imagine. I mean, this is just Bible. This is easy. This is 1, 2, 3. Let us make man in our image and in our likeness, in our imagination, and just like us. I took that to heart. I said, God does stuff in excellence. I think I need to do my part in excellence. So that's where we're at. That's where we landed at today in the cinematography world and in the creative world.
Well, even as we're sitting here filming this show today, like, we've had so many meetings in the last just few days, even in the last 12 hours, about all the stuff. We got to get out to the Greatness Factory to look at some stuff, check out some gear, look at some, like there's just so much happening and so much going on here. We're talking about all the things we're about to revamp and remodel, even here in the studio that we're sitting at today. It's growing season, right? It's growing season. Antjuan, there is, like, anytime I'm around you, I run at such a high speed, and one of my things is I constantly am biting off more than I can chew, because I thrive under pressure. So I'm constantly creating new ways to make it like the same it was when I was broke, right? But whenever I'm around you, there's a calming effect. In the highest stress situations.
Oh wow!
Right? Are you aware about that? First of all,
I am now. I kind of work the same way. Clutch, that last 2 minutes. 2 minutes ago, like, hey, who are we going to give the ball to? Who are we going to put up the bat when we're in the ninth?
That's right.
Who are we going to give the ball to the last 10 seconds. And so I think that's what makes us hitters on all. Because I think we've just been trusted with that last little second but also not just with the last piece, but like who can do it at a certain level or think about it or care about it when no one else will.
That's right. That's right.
Got it.
And folks, one of the things that we're talking about here, let's make sure everybody understands what like cinematic videography is. Yeah. Okay, what's the difference between that versus just like regular? Like most people would just know, I think I have a cinematic setting on my phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Do.
So obviously it changes what you see. It
changes the game.
All right. So let's help everybody out and understand what that means.
Yeah, cinematic really means film movie like. What's some of the elements, what's some of the aspects that can take your phone and make it feel like you can kind of shoot a movie with? That goes more into detail with lighting, with focus, depth of field, what we call it. And then that last final texture as far as color. How would you color this? What would you do with it to make it not look so bland and so just phone-like or camcorder?
That's right. That's right.
Tape. Yeah.
It's and like if you think about it, even maybe even 10 years ago, probably 20 years ago, TV was shot differently than movies.
Oh yeah.
But now it's basically the same.
Yeah, they're blended. You can even see it in sports now.
Right.
If you take a look at sports, and I remember thinking about this a long time ago, and they finally did it to where they can blur out the crowd and background to where it can just focus on that subject. So whenever they go to replay it or want to make a documentary, it's already kind of halfway there with that look. So yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing. And like if you think about it, like they're even, when you think cinema, you think about movies, but like the movies, like the theater, right? The surround sound, the giant screen, all that stuff. Yeah. But now they're releasing movies straight to streaming, which is not usually watched. It's usually watched on a 60 or 70 inch television, right? Television screen, or even a phone. Mm-hmm. So it's, and now like even just basic content and podcasts and stuff are being shot cinematic, just same as movies. Oh yeah.
And that's what you want, right?
Because life is a movie, man. I shoot my podcast the same way. I'm loving it so much right now.
Dropping bombs,
I think I'm intensely trying to get these now. But yeah, I shoot my podcast just like a movie, and certain frame rate, certain look, certain aesthetic, because you want people to come into your story. A movie, unlike a commercial, unlike a video, it's a story. It's about to tell me something. Mm-hmm. So I think when people start to really add those aspects of a movie like or cinematic, we're setting up. We're about to tell you something maybe you've never heard before, or maybe something you can connect to by the time you get done watching it.
That's a good one right
Let's
there.
Go, Johnny.
Let's
go, Johnny boy. Let's go.
All right. So let's talk. First of all, you've had a lot of experience in this. Okay. So I've got here as a music producer and professional touring musician. We got to talk a little bit about that, but like some of the people, they would know you've been on tour with, maybe Casting Crowns. They've had a couple, a little bit of radio play, and you've done a lot in the Christian music world, right?
Yeah. We Are Messengers, Stars Go Down. On and on and on, man.
The highest levels.
Yeah.
The highest levels. Yeah. So talk to me about kind of how you grew up and got into that a little bit.
Yeah, man. Well, I grew up loving music, first of all. I was that kid in the room taking apart electronics and taking apart TVs and VHS, whoever. Some of the kids watching this, you don't know quite, what a VHS tape is. But I was that kid just growing up being really just into technology. But at the same time, I had a really, really strong love for music, especially in the beats and hip hop. When I came to listen to some of the old school music, Run DMC, even in the 90s with Timbaland and Aniya, it's like, oh my, like what is that? And then when I learned that you can make this on a computer, and that was the very thing I was taking apart in my room. I was that geeky nerd with computer boards, motherboards, CPUs everywhere. Mom coming, oh my God, I'm never coming in here because your room is full of. I was that guy, but things that were already working, I just wanted to know how it worked.
That's right.
It wasn't even broke yet. It's like, how does this work? And how, if I could, take it apart and put it back together. So my creative span started then. I didn't really think about this till I got older, and I had kids, and they started doing the same thing. I'm like, man, you're doing what I was doing when I was your age. And so getting into the music world, it was actually probably one of my first entrepreneur journeys. And I don't want anybody to put this out, but I don't really care. But when I was building computers while making music, other friends of mine start to really taking a liking to music. I'm like, man, how can I get this same quality? How can I get all these beats and these samples? Well, I was like, how can I get you the same? You know what? If you give me $500, I can build you this computer.
The entrepreneur was born.
Now, it was a little ratchet. It was a little ghetto. It was a little illegal getting, Napster and LimeWire and all these days. So downloading software and all this stuff, kind of going under the radar. But helping guys be creative. I didn't know any other way to do that. So I was buying computers, buying the shell, building them from scratch, and then importing and downloading the software they needed to make music with. And I just started selling like hotcakes.
That's awesome, dude.
So that's how I got into that music scene. But as I started to get older and get more mature, I ran into one of my top 5 mentors of all time, a man by the name of Wayman Tisdale. I actually got to engage with him after I already found out who he was. I grew up in school playing the instrument cello, and learning that you can't play cello in a band, I started to kind of migrate over to bass guitar.
Right.
And I remember being on a basketball trip down to Dallas, and a friend of mine had what we call a trapper keeper for all the young people. A trapper keeper full of CDs where you go through your little CD album.
We all used to keep them in our cars, right?
Keep them in the cars, it's a big old thick thing. And I found the CD called Face to Face, and I played it, and I said, what the heck is this sound? Like, this is crazy. I didn't know what a guitar was. I didn't even know what a bass was, really. And I played it all the way to Dallas, played it all the way back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I lived at. And a couple years later, I think a divine opportunity, I got to meet Wayman through his liking of one of my best friends, who was a crazy drummer at the time, like a Tony Worcester's kind of sought after kind of drummer at the age of 15. Wayman seen him play at a church. And this before I even knew he lived in the same town.
Okay.
And seen him play at a church. And he's like, hey, I want you in the studio. Like, I need you on a record today. So we went over to a studio, got invited, and we were already in music, but going to a real studio, kind of like this, is a dream for a kid, And I remember him he's 6'9". Wayman Tisdale, he was an NBA player played for the Pacers Suns, played for the Indiana Pacers, Phoenix Suns, Sacramento Kings, Oklahoma legend at OU, like just crazy, known around the whole state. We were sitting in his studio, and I remember Mike being in the booth, getting ready to tune up drums and play. And Wayman looks at me, and he's like, hey, what you play? I was like, man, I don't really play nothing. I'm looking at this giant, and he takes this pearl white Fender Jazz custom bass off the wall, and he hands it to me. I'll never forget it. He says, if you can play this, it'll take you wherever you want to go.
Wow.
Almost like he was giving me a key to something.
Right. He did.
He did. And from that day, I just kind of went underneath his wing and was at the studio, got invited to his house on his 20 acres with horses and all just amazing things. And I became his studio engineer. Sometimes became his bass tech, meaning I got to travel with him, go to different events. But I was in the studio cleaning up. How I got the job of that studio engineering was, remember I told you about me taking apart studio pieces or computer pieces in my studio? Wayman's computer goes down in the middle of a session. I'm sitting in the back corner, kind of in the chair like this. We're at his studio, and he's calling everybody, hey man, my computer, the session just down. I'm mid, like we got to do something. The record label needs XYZ. And so I was like, Tiz, I would call him Tiz for short. I was like, let me go check it out real quick. Maybe I can, man, I go back there. I have no idea what I did. Still to this day, I have no idea what I did. But I just remember I got it working.
Wow.
Because what I did in my room, what I did when nobody else was seeing it, made sense when someone else needed it. And so that moment, it came back up, and he looked at me, and he just started, what did you do? Oh my God, you're my new, and I had a job.
Wow.
Creative value. What you do in secret, I believe, like the Bible says, God will reward you publicly. So that moment that you're rehearsing, that moment that you're just taking apart things, or you're learning how to speak, or you're doing something with cameras and you're learning how to get the lighting just right.
Yeah.
Soon enough, see, we live in a day and age where we learn something real quick and then we want everybody to know it.
Right.
We're gonna put it on Instagram. We're gonna, do all the things to make it look like we're valuable. When the real value, like from being a tremendous athlete to being a speaker to being a father, that comes when nobody else is watching you hit them balls, watching you going and running the laps. And so my time came in the music industry. Like, my door was through Wayman, and because I was able to serve him with something I was just freely doing, became valuable to him in a moment he really, really needed it. And he taught me bass, he taught me acoustic. He gave me probably over $25,000 worth of instruments in my young high school career. Wow. And he was like a dad figure, because I grew up without a father, but I loved basketball. And when I met him, like, man, here's a guy who's in basketball, he loves God, he's married, he's done some amazing things, and he was not only a major player in the NBA, but his music career, he was a major player, a major hitter in the music scene.
Right.
I'm like, how do you go from one thing incredible,
wow,
to being one of the highest Billboard recording artists, musician artist, especially playing bass guitar, was unheard of. He had a sound nobody else had. And so I was really impacted by his career, to where, I was in newspapers. I was getting, just like I was the guy. And so you asked the question earlier, how do you get to the place where you're setting bars? Is when you surround yourself, or if you're gifted with people who are setting the bars, they make it a little bit easier for you to reach those bars. The thing is, when you reach those bars, you got to now make it reachable for someone else to obtain that bar too as well. Setting it high, setting it at the next level doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, I'm doing something that nobody else can do. But what you're doing is actually setting it so high, saying that, hey, if I can do this, you can do this. And so that was just, that's how my life, learning music and being gifted to that in such a very special way that most people didn't have it in a small town-ish. Tulsa is kind of a big town. But I had the opportunity to serve and work alongside one of the greatest men of my lifetime. And for him to teach me things in very subtle ways about the game, about business, music business. That's where a lot of my knack for business comes from, is watching him being on the phone. One minute he's talking to a record label, the other minute he's talking to Michael Jordan. God, Michael Jordan would just send him shoes. I'm posting, like, Michael Jordan would just send him Jordan shoes, and he had horses and stuff, and like he had a bunch of Jordan shoes. They would just have like horse poop on it, just like, I'm like, oh, y'all doing it like this over here. Oh, Jordan's just, if you in his studio today, I still hold the key. He's passed away. He had cancer of the leg, but he didn't necessarily pass away from the cancer, more so the treatments. Yeah. In 2009, but I still have the key. It's crazy. I still have the key to his home studio in Tulsa on his ranch. I had the opportunity to go and redo it, remodel it. And he still has a picture on the wall. He has a couple different pictures, but one of them is really cool, where he's in the All-Star game and Michael Jordan is in the same team. Wow. Crazy. Yeah. He had in his college career, he had the same number 23, and he shares this cool story, but he had to kind of give up that number for the All-Star game for Jordan. But that's the kind of guy he was. Man. That's the kind of man he was. And so that's what I try to aspire to be.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends, and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more.
Proximity it starts at home, obviously, for sure. And as parents, we really pay attention to who our kids are spending their time with and who they hang out with. Yeah. But for whatever reason, a lot of us don't do that for ourselves.
Yeah, facts.
And anytime I feel like I'm in business, spirituality, or anything, anytime I feel like something's stagnated, the first place I look is, who am I spending my time around?
That's good. That's good.
And I found something the other day that I just loved, and it said, "You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you."
Yeah. Hey, I felt it the second time you said it.
That's right.
That's good, man.
Right. So, and I thought that was so powerful because, you can't necessarily change what somebody's doing, but you can change who's in front of you. That's right.
Come on.
But proximity is everything.
Yes, it is.
And I grew up with my dad was always in a band when he was in the music business, and they were always very sought after and very good. Mm-hmm. And he would always say he was secure enough in his own abilities to say, if as the band leader, if I'm the worst person here, we're going to be fantastic.
Wow.
And it was basically and it was the same thing in sports and everything else. And it's funny too, because like one talented person with a bad attitude can totally ruin a talented team.
Yeah. Facts.
That the mindset and the paradigms and just the general attitude of people. And it's something that we've been even dealing with a little bit with my son's 14-year-old team this year, a little bit. 14-year-olds or 14-year-olds. And they're trying to find their ways to fit in unique ways, So proximity is so important. And that kind of like, we'll get to it in a little bit, but that's why I had to work with you.
Yeah, man.
I had to be around the best, dude. And it's nothing against everybody else.
Yeah.
But I was just let down a lot because what I wanted and what I needed to produce, they weren't able to understand what I was saying because they hadn't done it before, or maybe they had, and I just wasn't good at. They couldn't understand translate what I was saying.
For sure.
But it's I was let down. I've been let down a lot.
For sure.
Just taking shots and misses, which is okay.
Eagles don't speak chicken language.
Man, that's powerful.
If an eagle is ever flying and trying to get somebody else to fly with them, it won't be a crow. It will not be. You're gonna meet another eagle, and it's less. You ain't got to do a lot of talk. It's like, I already got you. I already know how we fly. It's that we have that. It's like, I already know. I get it. Just time, right people, right language. Because there's a way that you speak. There's a way that you connect that I don't. Yeah. But we're kind of saying the same thing. Different phone, same carrier. And when those two people come together, I'm experiencing that in my entire life right now. It's a sweet gift because I'm around a bunch of hitters. I'm like, there's another you exist. You know what I'm saying?
That's
it's
right.
like, oh, I didn't even have to explain that. Like, I'm a little nervous because I don't know if it's a little bit too good to be true. And but it is true, man. I think you deserve that. I think you've worked hard for that. I think God is blessing you with that because there's so many dreams, there's so many things you want to do for other people. Yeah. You have that heart and that mindset, and you're just being gifted and graced for it.
Man, well, thank you. It's so true. We were years ago. I was speaking to a pretty large group of people. Yeah. And I was asked to talk about mindset. This is before everybody started using the word mindset. Right. So, I'm talking to this room, and it's something just came over me where I'm looking at all these faces, and I was like, "Hey, on a minute. Hey, what does mindset mean to you?" I asked 8 different people, and I got 8 different answers. Wow. So we were talking about at least 8 different things. Yeah. And there was, I think, 50, 60 people in the room. It may have been 50 or 60 different things. So the first thing I did was we got our phones out and we asked my old buddy Webster. Right? What is let's all agree on what mindset means, and now let's have a conversation about it. And to get them to understand what I was saying, we've all had a bad haircut. But it wasn't because the stylist or the barber gave you a bad haircut. It's because it wasn't what you thought you were going to get. Yeah. And that's because you described something that they translated in a different way. Yeah. So, and I'll give a good like back when I used to keep my hair real short, a mid fade to me was a high fade. Yeah. So when I said I wanted a high fade and he went up higher, I was like, whoa.
Too high, bro.
That's right. We were talking about 2 different things. Yeah. Getting on a level of people that speaks the same language as you, that proximity is so important.
Yeah, it is.
And that's something that, especially in the space of cinematography, any type of videography, content production, anything like that, where you're creating, it's extremely important that everybody's on the same page and speaking the same language, right? Sure. Yeah. It's if not, it's the Tower of Babel. Yeah. And it's it's a mess. Yeah. It's a mess. So let's talk a little bit about our connection here, man, because like honestly, it was a gift
Yeah.
that we even ran into each other, right? So old Jensen over here gets a little credit for that. He's off camera, but he helped set that up. And obviously finding somebody, there's a lot of talented people that aren't that aren't faith-based like we are here, which is extremely important. That has to line up first before anything else, right? So let's talk about some of our connections and whatnot, because honestly, the first time I met you, I hit it off with you just like that.
Yes, sir.
And I immediately, like, when I went home that night, I told my wife, I was like, I don't even know his last name, but I feel like I've known him my whole life, and I feel like I trust him with everything. You know what I'm saying? It was really cool.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you.
Let's tell your side of that a little bit.
Well, we both. It's crazy that even with Jensen in the room right now, we both know someone we're both connected to in a different space for two different things. I'm learning in my life that the people I run into now, how I run into them, is either coming to help and aid me directly with what I need, or they're to get through me to someone else. We both know Jim, brother Jim Gray.
That's right.
I met him in the church parking lot, and he just took a liking of my flannel that I was wearing that day, and we both kind of felt that same thing. Like, hey man, I don't know what it is, what we're supposed to do. It's called discernment, but I feel like we're supposed to do something. I don't know how. And so I lean into moments like that. When people say that, you feel that, it's like, wait a second, there's something here. Maybe it's for me. Yeah. Maybe it's for someone else.
That's right.
And just through that connection and him being connected with you, I found that really sweet. And I was telling my wife the same thing. I was like, man, does life really work like that? Where when you think you're going into one thing with someone, it was meant to get you here with this person. And I think about that even with my wife and how I met her through my best friend. I'm like, that's those connections. Boom. We're all meant to have community and to connect in some ways. When you get older, hopefully we get a little wiser and we can see it coming. So now I kind of reposition myself like, all right, God, like, who am I supposed to serve? Who am I supposed to add value to? Who am I supposed to give something to? And I think it was just sweet that I was able to run into you and find out all that you did. And the first time I met you was at that keynote.
That's right.
But I, in my mind already, hearing about you, watch the game, hearing about you being a man of excellence, I heard about you and what you did. I heard the level of excellence. Oh, Nick is this. Nick. Oh. So in my mind, okay, if Nick is that, then we're bringing him the goods.
You sure did.
He's getting the 12K camera.
He's did.
He's getting the cinematic lenses before you even met me, because I needed you to know that even though you didn't know me, I cared about your moment.
Dude, I mean, you had all those fantastic things you just mentioned were even on a rail. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like not one content or not one videographer or cinematographer has ever brought a rail to me before. Yeah. So right then and there, I was like, this is the level I'm talking about here.
Man. Yeah, that's what you deserve, though. That's what you deserve. And I think that's where we can connect at, because in our time in our lives where we're extracting, what we're building, what we're milking, we deserve other people that makes it a little lighter on where we're trying to get to, because we know what it's like to struggle and communicate. And like, man, if I can just have this. But now it's easing up a little bit because you can share that vision. You can share the mission, and someone can carry it as if it was theirs. Right. And that's what I feel with you, man. I think that just connection from my angle where I'm at now, I'm like, okay, I'm here to serve and build something crazy with this guy. Gotta like position my mind, position my heart to receive, but also to give back 10 times than what he's given me.
It's so hard to create something of greatness once. Yeah. It's a whole nother challenge. It's a whole nother skill set and mindset to be able to do it at scale. Yeah. And replicate it at scale. Yeah. And that's literally like, as we're building volume 1 of many of these things, we can already see the fruits of the labor. We can already see the direction it can go. We can see so far into the future, which is a beautiful thing. Like, it's such a gift to be able to actually know why you're doing what you're doing. Man, you hit it. And so like when we're doing that, we're already scoping out 2nd, 3rd, and 4th locations, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th cities. Yeah. Like, I'm talking big, and one of these like the Greatness Factory downtown, just Coach himself, before he even met Nick, about going in there and doing some stuff with him, spent $7 million on that facility. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just the little space that we're in today, that's as state of the art as it is. I'm 5 years and $5.5 million, and mistakes, research, gear, like just IP,
heartache,
absolutely, long hours, crawling underneath tables and stuff before I could even ask anybody else to crawl underneath the table because I didn't know why they needed to.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm a big believer in I'll never ask anybody to do something that I haven't done already myself, or that I'm not willing to do again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
And because I think a leader is somebody that says, "Let's go," not go. It's let's go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
good, man.
Business, family, and faith, not in that order. They're backwards, as a matter of fact. It's faith, family, business, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's really where you and I kind of faith is the most important thing.
Yeah. Here,
and when you can connect with somebody on a faith level. Yeah. Everything else just seems to work out.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And for us, that was very important. As a matter of fact, when we were just working on some stuff at the Greatness Factory, we did a little mock podcast together, and all we talked about was faith.
Yeah.
Faith and fathers.
Yeah, man. Hey, that sounded good when you said it right there too.
That's right.
That sounded real good, man. That's it.
But again, greatness is not by accident.
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of faith in yourself and the people around you and the abilities that God gave you, because He only made one of you.
Yeah.
100% unique.
Yeah.
And how to bring those out. And it's like, at raising a child, raising multiple children, you got to believe you're the best.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, but you have to be, I don't like the word humble, because you're only supposed to humble yourself into the Lord, not really anybody else, right? If you actually look at the definition. So, but we'll just use that word for lack of better right now, to be able to humble yourself a little bit, even though you believe you're the best, that don't mean you can't learn from anybody else.
Yeah.
What's the right way to say that? I have to believe I'm the best podcaster on planet Earth right now. However, I also have to understand that I need to learn from other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even before that too, before someone can believe, this is crazy, before you can even believe that you're the best, you have to believe that you're enough. You have to believe that you're just good enough. To be great, you have to be comfortable. This is for me, if it ain't for anybody else. You have to be comfortable with being good. Just good. In the beginning of the Bible, it says this, and if y'all don't like the spiritual, y'all can turn, but this is for everybody. Check it. God, it said that when God created the land, when He created the seas, He stepped back and says, that's good. The next thing He created, even to us, we think it's the mountains. Oh my God, have you been to Vancouver? Have you been to Colorado? It's the most beautiful. To us, to Him, oh, that's good.
Right.
Even the last thing He created, Adam says this, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. God, you pretty much, this is good. There's no great. I believe God started us with just being good to make it easy to get to great. To make it easy. So I can't help but be around you for a little bit and feel good. In about 2 hours, I should feel great.
Yes, sir.
Being around it, like, oh, what idea did you just say? Oh, wait, what was that? You just took me from good to great immediately. And I think that's what greatness says. We don't start with being great because it sounds hard. It sounds heavy to get to.
Right.
But everybody, we can do a good job.
Yeah.
We can be good at something. Everyone is good at something. My 3-year-old is good at being him, whether he's throwing a fit or he's doing, something else. He's still a good kid, And so being good and getting to great, sometimes it has to, really every time it has to be modeled. Because there's things that you're probably an Enneagram 8, a commissaire, making things happen. We don't feel great all the time.
No.
We think like, man, we're hard on ourselves a lot. Like, okay, that was great. Okay. And then now we're already setting the next bar. We're already doing the next thing. And so, but even with that, to get to greatness, just being comfortable with being good and good enough gives you the opportunity and open up the door for you to do now, not to be great, but to do great things. See, I started with Wayman. God bless me with Wayman. And I'll say this, I grew up fatherless, bro. Like, no man in the house. And I didn't know about married men or that men I didn't know really the thing of that till I was like 12.
Wow. Okay.
My best friend's dad and his mom were the first Black married couple I've ever seen. I was 12.
Got it.
And when I watched them, I said, "What is that?" I said, "That's what I usually see on TV. Like, that's a real thing. That's not a TV thing. That's not like a Fresh Prince. That's not like a Family Matters. That's not like a Full House kind of like that's a real thing."
Wow.
And so seeing good men do great things as far as taking care of their wives, taking care of their children, working hard, that's easy. If they can do it, I can do it. And I think in our time, even with me just not having a father in the house, that this is my life that God sent into my life, because that's why I'm sitting here with you today. Crazy how it makes sense that God at the age of 12 sent different men in my life to show me how to be a man. Somebody revealed to me, actually my cousin revealed to me that, and this may seem over spiritual to some people, but it means a lot to me because it makes sense why I'm sitting here with you, that God wouldn't let my original father me. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Am I that special? Am I that cut out? Am I that important? Yeah. To not go his path, because I could have had 3 kids, 3 different baby mamas.
Yeah.
In jail, maybe dead. But God, did you really see fit to make me great by sending good men who teach me how to love a woman, how to talk to a woman, how to start a business, how to serve and never ask for anything back until it's your time to show up, so that when you meet a Nick, when you meet this person, when you meet a billionaire, that your heart and your mind will be positioned to be able to serve good and great people. Jesus says, serve the least of these. If you can't serve this person, that's crazy. That's the Holy Spirit. There's a passage in the Bible, and I want to give us in this setting. There's a passage in the Bible where his disciples are deciding which one of them are great. This is crazy, bro. Jesus says, the one that will be the greatest will be the least among you. You wouldn't even notice. He's probably somewhere mopping something right now. He's probably somewhere helping some little old lady getting her groceries to the car right now. That's what he's doing. He's probably some dad out there busting his butt, working 3 jobs, take care of not only his kids, but maybe his sick wife. That person you don't see in the back of that hotel that you just in there to get your whole ballroom thing. And I worked behind those. I know it's crappy. Yeah. But some of the best and great people I've ever met in my entire life. And so I love that. And sorry to kind of magnify that greatness, because we get to do great stuff people wish they could do.
Absolutely.
We get to be around great people others would pay top dollar for. The Bradleys and all the Greatness Factory. Like, I'm like, this is great. This is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But how lucky and blessed am I to be able to come alongside you and really show the greatness of not only what's happening there, but what happens when you get other eagles in the room.
That's right.
What happens when you get other lions in the room. One of my favorite passages from one of my favorite books that set me off into this leadership journey, there's a book by a guy who was one of my other top main mentors. He's passed away, but he's a great digital mentor. He wrote a book called Spirit of Leadership, how leadership is innate in all of us. And he tells this story, bro. The only thing I can really remember from this book, he tells the story of an African king. He says, an army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lions led by a sheep.
Man, it's like that. It's like the movie A Bug's Life,
bro.
Right?
It's crazy. It doesn't take much to be great, but will you go?
Man, that's
will you take the risk?
That's right.
If everybody said, "Oh, bro, you're not meant for that. Oh, you can't do that. I'm good enough. I can learn." That's the story of even David. I know I'm referencing Bible, but that's the story of David, where the biggest guy, the biggest joker was. I mean, he was great in his world, but you telling me a guy who's been practicing throwing his rocks when nobody else can see it. Remember, we're back here now. I was in my little room building computers and learning music and all these other little things. When those were my 3 stones. David, nobody else seen David fight bears in the Bible. He fought all of them. When his time came, though, hey, do you want to help me build the Greatness Factory? Hey, do we want to build this thing over here? Yeah, I just got 3 stones. That's good enough,
man,
bro.
That's right. That's right.
The Hitstreak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the Hit Lab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more.
As children, even in today's society, with the education system the way that it is, every year they get to re-identify themselves as, I was a kindergartner, now I'm a first grader. I was a sophomore, now I'm a junior.
Levels.
Right? And then maybe they go to college and they keep doing it. Maybe they go to in a master's program, they keep doing it. Yeah. But then they get into their workforce. They get into the workforce, they get their job, and then it stops. Yeah. Because it was almost like they didn't do it themselves. It was already in motion for them, and all they did is just show up and produce and then and get put there. So like, you know, I asked that question a lot. That was something that even as a baseball player, it took me 10 years to no longer be a baseball player. I hadn't played in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But it took me 10 years I'm finally no longer a baseball player. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw a baseball player for 10 years. And it literally took me changing everything about what I saw in the mirror first. I'm like, if I can't see somebody different, how can I expect anybody else to do that too? Yeah. And I also heard something that I loved one time too, that was, hey man, if you truly want to evolve as an adult into something great, you know, it's the hardest to do it at home where because everybody knows you for who you were, and they're going to be the ones that are telling you, I don't know, man, I don't know. And you know, even parents are put there, parents are often there to protect you.
That's good.
So when you're taking that risk on yourself, a lot of times your parents might say, I don't know. Are you sure? Because they don't want you to bump your head. They're trying to protect you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what I've found out as a parent, my job is to push and make sure you get up when you fall.
Sir.
Immediately.
That's a good dad. That's what we call you nowadays.
Man.
A good dad. Because good dad make great kids.
That's right.
There's nothing like, you know what this like. I can't believe I'm a dad. This is crazy. When someone else gives you a compliment about your kid, it's the best. Absolutely. Hey man, I don't know if you know this, because you know at home you were harder than kids. There's a grace gift factor when someone else mentions your kid. Like, hey man, Duke, my his name is Duke Morgan. Hey, Duke did X, Y, Z. Man, you got a great kid. Like most kids aren't. I'm like, man, appreciate that, man. That's my boy. You know what I'm saying? That's my, I made that, Joker. You know what I'm saying? That's right. So and that's what you're exactly right, man. A lot of kids are striving to be great. They're watching great on a phone in 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. And it's not that, it's that dad or mom. I think dad and moms, and especially fathers, birth the good out of all of us. Birth the good so that it's easier to see the great things that we do. And man, I know just even hearing about you, every time if I'm calling you or texting you, you're like, hey man, headed to a game. And I'm like, man, I need to go head to something. Like, what am I doing right now? You made me step up my game right there, bro. That's a home run to me. And so you just stepping that up and showing up in your son's life is crazy. And even you said something about the identity, how you were. It took 10 years to get out of that. That's crazy, because that was the same for me and other things. What really started to set me free from what I did with who I am was understanding my true identity. That my identity is endless. What I want to become, what I want to do, I'm going to kill it. It's that greatness.
That's right.
I said, hey, I realized who created me. Like, if the story is true, you're talking about the God Almighty created me to think and imagine and to look like him. I'm the best thing walking. Bro, you got a swag. Like, you're unstoppable. Every time I talk to you, hey Nick, how you feeling? Man, I'm unstoppable.
Every time.
Bro, you don't understand what that does for me. It's a heck yeah, I'm unstoppable.
It does that for me too.
Crazy.
Yes.
That's madness.
I got tired of being just good, which is what I always told people. I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, hit them.
Got tired of it.
Yeah.
Got tired of it. That gets one.
Yes.
That gets one.
Yes, it does.
It's crazy. The more times I tell myself I'm unstoppable, I believe it more.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
Practice and repetition.
Mindset.
Absolutely.
Mindset.
And everybody remembers that.
Sure does.
Everybody remembers that. You know what I mean? And I've said it so many times now, every once in a while, I won't be in the best of mood. How you doing, Nick? And I was like, good. They're like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, you got me. You're right. My bad.
You set the bar, though.
That's right.
That's what you did.
That's right.
Like we cannot unhear that.
That's right.
We cannot unsee this, no matter how you're feeling. But you did it for us, and that you did it both ways. It's like, yeah, I'm unstoppable, but you really wanted to let us know how unstoppable we are too. I can tell that in your language.
100%.
Thanks for doing that, man. Because now, when you're not doing so good, that's why the Bible says iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
Hey, Nick, I heard you lost $500 million yesterday. Yeah, I did, man. But I just made another 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Good, Nick. Good. That's why you're unstoppable, man.
That's right.
And that's why we have this right now in this season, because we're supposed to set the next bar.
Dude, I haven't, perception is often mistaken for reality. Okay.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not one that goes on and gripes about the things that are going wrong in life. Yeah. Okay. I don't, that's not what my platform's for. I don't feel like it feeds anybody. I feel like that's very selfish of me to do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't like to complain publicly, right?
Yeah.
I don't like to complain at all, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. That's good.
However,
Eagles don't do that.
That's right.
We don't do that.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And but like, I'm just going to throw a couple things out there, and this goes back to something that last year my wife and I lost a dear friend, literally like out of the blue, that she had known forever, and I'd known through my wife.
Yeah.
A beautiful person.
Yeah.
And her mom stood up at the funeral and thanked her Lord Jesus for. She basically said, "I lost my husband suddenly, years ago, and now I'm standing up here and I lost my daughter suddenly." Wow. Right? She had looking out there, her grandson's out there. He's like 7, 8 years old. Like, it's tragic. Okay.
Yeah.
And she thanked her Lord Jesus for trusting her enough to handle the suddenlies. Yeah, changed me when I heard her say that. And all right, this is totally not even close to perspective here, but all right, just in the last like 30 days. My dad and stepmom were in a horrible car accident. Yeah. My wife lost her grandmother within 6 hours. Within a couple days, for whatever reason, we lost power supplies at the studio and had to reschedule a bunch of stuff. Lost a bunch of. It was not a lot of good things. I've lost multiple computers. I've lost a refrigerator. Our pool at home. If you've seen it, like a whole wall fell in.
Oh, like, wow.
I'm talking 6 figures worth of damage across the board, right? And this is stuff that would bankrupt most. So like, this is the first time in my life where I'm able to look up and be like, all right, Lord, I'm listening. I hear you. What are you preparing me for? Thank you for trusting me to get through all this. Because like in the old Nick would have flipped out, lost my religion, lost my wife, lost everything over it because I'd have been miserable to be around.
Yeah.
And like, literally the refrigerators, we lost refrigerator yesterday, it's a new refrigerator, but like, how does this is all the food that was in it and everything else, it's just one thing after the other. And all I'm like is, all right, man, well, like we're being prepared for something huge.
Yeah, bro.
And I found myself grateful for the trust that God had in me to handle all this stuff.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. And it totally changed the perspective of it.
Yeah.
And I learned
that's big
from a woman later in her years, a grandmother, that thank the Lord for trusting her to handle the suddenly of losing a daughter.
Wow.
Which I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
In
that moment, she set the bar.
She sure did.
That's what I think I just heard you say.
Yes.
For your faith.
That's right.
That allows you to overcome failures way easier.
Well, and right about that time too, like the church that I go to, Pastor Josh this is what he's been just all about, is talking about faith for 6 months, all of 2024.
Now you need it.
And that's exactly right. And like, he told me one time, he said, I feel like that being ungrateful is the root of all sin.
Yeah.
And that at the end of the day, like, how can you be in a bad mood if you're grateful?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because our pool wall fell in. Can you talk about a first world problem?
Yeah.
Like,
come on, man.
So like, it just really puts things into perspective for us. Yeah. And it's, in my opinion, as a leader that a lot of people depend on, that a lot of teammates, clients, and everything else, people depend on, I feel like you have to have that stability to be able to, maybe they're not prepped yet for that, and they've got to lean on somebody or something, and you're that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I can't think of a greater a greater compliment or opportunity.
Wow.
Than to be somebody that people lean on. It's heavy, dude.
For sure. Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
But heavy's a reference.
Yeah.
It's the heaviest thing you've ever touched.
Yeah.
And if you touch something heavier, that's not heavy anymore.
Yeah. The 15-pound dumbbell is nothing versus what you can do now with 30 pound.
That's right.
And because and that just shows your heart, really where you stand, that you're willing to wait, to grow, to learn, but you're also willing to lift the weight.
That's right. That's
right.
Right.
Two different types of waiting.
That's
going
right.
on.
That's right.
And that shows a lot, because that person who has failed, and that person, I remember getting opportunities because I didn't know that I was learning the skill of troubleshooting and the ability to troubleshoot something fast, and the ability to troubleshoot not only something fast, but have multiple different options for backup. If that didn't work, okay, we can do this.
That's
okay,
right.
that didn't work, we can do this. But you have to fail. You have to see a lot of things fail and wait to see if it works. Wait to see if they're going to come through. Wait to see if you're going to get that call back.
That's right.
To understand, you know what? I didn't get the calls I made today. I didn't get the money I made this week. But I still trust and have faith that tomorrow's coming. I can do better the next day.
That's right.
And that sweet woman who lost her family, who didn't even know that in this time, has built your faith to raise your bar, to say, you know, this is a lot of ish going on right now. This is crazy. The old Nick wouldn't be ready for this.
No, it would have broke me.
Yeah, easily. But now your story, what you've gone through, even what she gone through, you just get to that with me and everyone else who's listening, to say, you know what? Yeah, I should have more gratitude. I should be more grateful. Like, we're on a podcast. We got water right now that's not killing us.
That's right. That's right.
I should be more grateful, and I should have more faith and take lessons from the failures, that I'm not a failure, or that even though everything else is failing around me, that my faith still holds us strong.
That's right.
My faith still keeps me going.
That's right.
And dude, that's so commendable and honoring that you would share that, man.
Well, this is what happens when Antjuan and I get together. We get in great spots and we just go. And we're going to talk a little bit about what makes like, again, a hot topic is videography, digital content, omnipresence, all those things. We're going to talk about that. But like, I just, Antjuan, when I started this show, it was about breaking down the playbook of other successful people, so other people could have that success too, right? Wow. And then as I'm doing that, as I'm living that journey out myself, I found that my excellence in all aspects of life mirrored my faith. Yeah. All right. So if my faith was faltered, then everything else faltered exactly around with it. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
So, this is a very, this show is pretty much every episode there's a lot about faith in it. Yeah. Because again, it's the center of my universe and and it mirrors everything else that we're doing. Yeah. That's good. And that's, and my goal with that is that, like, you have to, faith is a form of belief. Yeah. Right. So for those that aren't believers yet, because you have to put yet at the end on for every one of them. Yeah. My goal is that, like, they'll see how happy and how fulfilled and grateful that I am every day, no matter what's going on in life, that they'll just have to try it. Yeah. They'll just have to try it, and it was a conversation I had with Brad one time where we were talking about this exact same thing. And he was just like, dude, like, even these people that aren't believers that are just dead set against it, let's just put things in perspective. Yeah. All right. If they're right, nothing changes. Yeah. But if I'm right,
get the change of life, baby,
they lose everything. Yeah. Eternally. Yeah. For eternity. Yeah. Yeah. So, like, it doesn't even make sense why they wouldn't give it a shot. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, for me, it's again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So I want everybody to know I love my family. I love what I do. Am I where I want to be? Absolutely not. Yeah. Am I the husband I want to be? Nope. Am I the dad I want to be? Nope. And I'm the worst version of everything that I am today. Because tomorrow I'm going to get better. Yeah. And tomorrow I'll be the worst version of myself for the rest of my life until the next day. Yeah. That's how you grow. Yeah. And that's what I'm about. So, like, I hope that somebody listening to this today hears us talking is like, I want to give it a shot. Yeah. Yeah. I want to give it a shot. And I hope they reach out to us because we can help them. We can help them make sure they get to the right people.
It takes faith, man. It takes faith. And what's crazy about faith, there's two folds to faith that in the book where Jesus is literally always talking about having faith. If y'all don't know it, if you slow the Bible down, like if you don't think spiritual about it, you would think that there's a guy who Father has sent him to represent the company. Watch it. To represent a company where the different franchises have gone rogue. And he's like, look, this ain't really how we run the company. I need to come down here and show you how we run the company. But to run this company, one, you're going to have to step up your game. Two, you're going to have a lot of faith that you can do it because this is your franchise. And I'm about to return back to the headquarters. I'm about to leave. But I need to come show y'all like how this is ran. He said it so much that he says, look, I'm here because I'm about my Father's business. That's pretty much, we're watching a son come and take over the company.
That's it.
Father couldn't be there. You're the representative.
Man.
So we should be that same way in our own lives with faith. There's people who use faith, like this phone is faith. The definition of faith is, I believe it goes, faith is the substance hoped for, the evidence of something you can't see yet.
That's right.
I'm hoping that we build this machine and it does this, this, and this, and this. I'm hoping that one day I can create a device that you can not only talk and text on it, but I can see you almost instantly and it shows up. Jesus made it so easy. He said it's the size of a mustard seed. It's not that big of a thing, but with this, if you have this much, you can move that mountain into that sea. That's how crazy it is.
That's right.
And so for us to be having this conversation, it took faith that one, I can build this podcast studio that's going to change freaking everything.
Dude, so many people call me crazy.
Right.
So many people.
But that's faith.
That's right.
Like, bro, I can see something that nobody else can see. Your job is to make it into now something touchable and tangible.
That's right.
So I'm sitting on your faith right now.
That's right.
I'm talking in your, like, I'm inside of what was not seen before.
That's right.
That's how everything comes to be.
That's right.
And so that's why I'm just like, I'm blown away. I'm honored at the same time because if I can guess what's in your mind, the faith you have to do this, I can't imagine what's about to happen. I'm getting excited. My belly is turning. Maybe I'm a little hungry, but my belly is like turning with butterflies. Like, dude, but that's why the Bible says iron sharpens iron. You got to get around people in proximity, what you said earlier, that can stir this faith up.
All right. So fun little iron versus iron story. Okay.
Let's get it.
So, and I can't take credit for this because I heard it. But as a matter of fact, I can't take credit for anything I've ever said because I'm not the first person that said it. And the person I heard it from wasn't the first person either. Right. So, a lot of times folks get caught up on that. Right. So the story goes, iron sharpens iron. Right. Well, let's talk about the iron in the form of an axe.
Yeah.
All right. So the purpose of an axe is to chop wood.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Right.
Come on.
All right. So, but if you don't take that iron back to hit other iron to sharpen it, then what happens the more you hit that wood is the axe gets duller and duller and duller. And then, so if this is something for leaders, listen up, man, because pastors especially, you spend most of your time with the wood, right, in your congregation or your employees, your teams or whatever it is. And that's why they go on retreats and sabbaticals and stuff like that. CEOs do the same. That's right. They got to go get fed themselves. Yeah. Okay. So what happens if an axe doesn't get to have enough time with other iron to sharpen it, all you end up with is a dull axe and a damaged piece of wood.
Can't even use it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So it's so important and that's one of the hardest things as a leader to do. Yeah. Is find the time. Not it's everybody wants to do it, but it's finding the time to do it. Preparing your team to be without you for a limited amount of time to be able to do that. Yeah. And that's not in the form of a vacation. Yeah. You need those too. You need time with family. This is like personal development, personal growth. Yeah. So I love the iron versus iron analogy. Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's what this podcast is. Somebody's going to listen to it and get fired up.
That's right.
Somebody's going to listen to it and come up with $1 billion idea.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people are going to listen to it because they do. That's right. I mean, it's awesome. That's right.
Yeah, that's good, man.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing together because, like, again, as the Eagle Eye Experience and Central Coast Creatives, two different companies that feed both different customers and the same customer, right? And this is right. So literally, for me personally and everything we're doing a whole lot with Central Coast Creatives, right? But as we start to build out new facilities, including the one we're sitting in, the Eagle Eye Experience is going to be helping out.
Yeah, those are two different jars. I'm not going to spiritualize everything, but those are two different jars out of skills I already had. Mm-hmm. I was that kid in church or somewhere at an event or festival where I was either hooking up something, lighting and all that. And then one day when somebody told me, oh, that's an LLC, I said, oh, how? Changed my life forever. So Eagle Eye is an integration installation company. We install lighting, video, and audio gear in churches, venues, bars, libraries, wherever you see audio visual lighting, that's where we install it. We used to be a rental company. We've done stuff Times Square at the Marriott, all the way to the Venetian in Las Vegas, to the Gaylord in Denver, right outside of the hotel there. Been to all those places, loading gear in the semi, taking it off for pharma companies and corporate events and things like that. So that was the easy part. But when we branched off into the integration company where we install it permanently, that's where we kind of made a lot of our value at, helping local churches and local small businesses to where people can have visuals and be able to have sound at an elite and an amazing level to keep people coming back and be able to serve the community.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com.
With Central Coast Creatives. So talk to me about that a little bit too.
Yeah, Central Coast Creatives is a company that me and my wife co-own together. It started out as a website creation and social media management. As we grew along the way, some of our clients wanted more visual presentation. And so we started a cinema company. Actually, I already had this cinema company on the side. I just merged it with the creative company because most creative agencies and the marketing agencies now are media companies now, pretty much. You can't have one without the other, really.
That's right.
We got to do a lot of outsourcing. So in 2018, we merged Central Coast into a full house scale production where we've done different projects. We work with nonprofits and organizations, Greenwood Culture Center, all the way to some of Sony artists like Ben Fuller and Michael Cochran with Providence and all those. So we got a really unique spectrum of content or value with that. What's happening right now, which is just crazy, is here's two things about our companies. Here's two major things I want everyone to walk away, especially if you want to start activating this faith. In 10 years, I've never called a client. I've never made a cold call or an email. You got to hear this, to say, hey, Eagle Eye, we're a full service stop that does X. Hey, we're C3. I've never, ever called a client on the first time. Usually I would call back and just check in. But what I did to really test my faith, because I just believe that God has blessed me up until that point to not only have the idea, but to finish it and furnish it to where God sends people to us. It's fully faith-based. Like, God, if you don't send nobody, then that's just, we're going to be building and doing some things between that time, networking and all that. But I've been able to, my kids are homeschooled. My kids been homeschooled since my first son, dude. You got to hear this. I've been an entrepreneur. I haven't had a job clocked in for anybody since I was 18. I'm 37 now. And I went from grinding to hustling to learning about business to running the business full off of faith fuel. Meaning, if you don't send the manna or the rain, I'm testing you. Every year, we've done 6-figure deals. And out of those deals, God was like, okay, bet. I'm just led by the Spirit. God was like, okay, bet. I got something bigger. Okay, cool. Let's hit it. What we're able to do with both of those companies now, out of those two parent companies, now we're transferring a lot of capital, a lot of our time and assets into a bigger machine I didn't even know we were building. I have told you this, but this is how it actually works. We have a new startup edtech company called Think Like This. You got to know what time you're living in. And I say this 100 years ago, if I was saying, hey, I want to start a podcast, people they would look at you and like, we don't even know what a microphone is right now. We're extracting oil. You need to get in the oil business. Well, if I was to tell you about, hey, you want to do scrapbooking and all this, and you're living in 2024, I would say you need to figure out how to digitally scrapbook. Get a line, make collages, pictures, all these things. We're living in a digital age. And so us pivoting both for our companies that are fueled and filled by faith and what God sends us, now we take and funnel fuel faith. I love that. Now we're funneling those assets into an edtech company called Think Like This. We believe is one of the new waves of technology. EdTech space, if you don't know it, it's your Udemy's, it's your Thinkafith, it's your Learnables, it's your Masterclass. Those are all EdTech based companies.
Yeah.
EdTech based companies, the whole industry is worth about almost $200 billion. In the next 4 years, it'll double in size. I don't know about you, Nick, but I want a little piece of that.
Absolutely. Let's go.
And anybody who knows how to work a camera, tell a story, create content, you have a job. You have an opportunity. Now in the last, and I'm just giving you,
Jensen's over here like, that's right.
I'm just giving you details to it. Like I live in a townhome with my watch it. I'm living in a 2-bedroom townhome with my wife and kids. We drive a 2015 Tiguan, cash paid for. And we will live in an area that some people are not going to like. We live in delayed gratification. Now, hear me closely. When you have a vision or something big to do, I'm still pretty young, got a young family, but you need assets, you need time. You don't need to be out here flashy and trying to act like, I'm low under the radar. Nobody really knows where I live and I'm not distracted. So I get to make connections like this.
That's right.
The funding that comes in, we get to invest into our own property and our own value or company, like Think Like This. Or we could come alongside other people and help them build something great.
That's right.
So we're positioned for greatness. Because everything I've touched in the last, or I would say this, everything I've been allowed to touch, I'm getting really hyped right now because this is so exciting. Everything I've been a part of, record label, building mega churches, starting tech companies, it's been by the grace of God, bro. Like, right. I can't even tell. It's called, my pastor called it God math. That's exactly what I would call it because I can't count it up. I can't figure out how am I sit here in this position talking about all the things and then dreaming with another dreamer. And we're actually about to make something crazy big because everything we touch turned to go. Man, that's where faith comes. That's where greatness comes from is, hey, if we did it good at this level, the next thing is like crazy. And then, I'm with the Wayman Tisdales. We are messengers. Our band just got signed to Word record labels who's with Warner Brothers. And like, you get used to that type of, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And so that's where my faith came from. I'm like, God, if you allowed me to do these things and you set this up, what if I take my hands off of it and let you drive the machine? I'm just going to go and do what I need to do with who I need to do it with. Faith. Now we're back at that again. Faith produces greatness. It gets you from good to great. For those who are willing to say, I'll risk it. I'm not going to buy my wife this $400,000 house because I want to take all the capital from that and buy almost $200,000 worth of cameras. Yeah. That's hard, Nick. That's like cash. Like I own it all. Like no debt to any of it. Dude. Cinema lenses, 12K cameras, 8K cameras, 6K cameras, the whole thing. Storages. I had 3 storages and I had one here, one in Tulsa, one in Dallas for Eagle Eye. So that can live and breathe. And now we have Central Coast here where most of our clients were all digital. We didn't have to leave home. So I'm home 80% of the time. What happens the hard part, and I'll share this, going from good to doing something great it's going to require you to do a word that is not sexy, but it starts with an S, sacrifice. I didn't come from, y'all heard my story. I didn't come from grandparents who was loaded. I don't have no land. I don't got nothing to exchange, no commodities, no value. I have some stock. Your boy does have some stock, but I have any inheritance passed down. So, but I have a $1 billion brain. We all have a multi-billion dollar, $1 trillion brain. Imagine everything you see came from a brain.
That's right.
Like, we can't create a tree, but I can create a table and a chair to that tree.
That's right.
I can't create water. God, that's up to God. But I can create Aquafina.
That's right.
I can create, you hear me?
I do.
And so that's why I'm so excited. And these times, as we're creating our EdTech company, which is 80% content driven, do you know that in 2021, there have been engineers who worked for content companies who have branched off to create their own companies that create wireframe, meaning, I want to share a parallel with this because it just hit me as soon as I was about to say it. They create wireframes for me to put my content in to sell it. That way I ain't got to spend $250,000 to build the daggum app, to build the TV app. I can just inject my content in it and immediately sell.
Mm-hmm.
What, isn't it crazy that people build things waiting for you to show up?
That's right.
Like the Greatness Factory.
That's right.
Like Central Coast, like the Hitstreak. It's such a sweet position to be in a position where I'm fluid. I can turn this way because my faith, God can provide. I haven't worried about bills in a long time. Mm-hmm. My overhead extremely low. I've learned that. Keep that low. Yeah, I want to go get my Tesla. I could have been and got my Tesla. But that Tesla is not going to produce this content.
That's right.
For me to then, I can be able to eat off the assets.
That's right.
You hear that? That's and right. So that's where I've been, bro, I can't even call it all the way. But the more and more you get around great and successful people, you learn things that other people would normally ignore.
That's right.
You get to sit in a conversation and do this. Like, what'd you just say?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can make money like that? Oh, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's right.
And so that's literally what's happened. Now because I'm not tied to heavy to anything, I can say, yeah, Nick, let's put some money and let's inject some energy and time into that.
Mm-hmm. Because
what we do, Nick, it requires another great thing. The highest commodity humans have is time.
That's right.
It's time. And if you learn how to use time as a resource instead of money, like money is cool, credit is great, but time, what I can do with time,
mm-hmm.
I can make all those other things.
I've been saying it for years that, in this building, I usually am the person that has the most money.
Yeah.
But I always say that Dale is the wealthiest here because he's got the most time. He's here by choice, and I ain't always here by choice. I might be here because I got to be.
Yeah.
But because Dale's retired, and he was here because he wants to be.
That's good, man.
So he's the wealthiest person here, even though I might be the richest.
I tell that to a lot of young people who are under the age of 25, like Jensen over here.
Mm-hmm.
You're the wealthiest person in the room. You got more time than us right now.
That's right.
What you can do between 21 and 25 could be great. I wish somebody would have told me more about
kidding.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So I feel that.
That's right. Mm. Well, man, it's like I say, it's a beautiful thing. Folks, I'm gonna tell you now. When this episode comes out, you'll have noticed a lot of change and stuff just from my own personal brand, my own personal content, and it's the things that Antjuan and I have been talking about for a couple months now that we're just getting started on. We're working on some things together here at the Hit Lab, the Greatness Factory. It's a full scale. It's omnipresence.
Yeah.
When it comes to cinematography, videography, photography, podcasting, all digital content of any type, man. It's because you got to have it. It changes the game.
Yeah.
But we go back to that word faith and believe, and you're only as good as your faith in yourself or what you believe in yourself. Yeah. And there's a reason that all the greatest athletes in the world remind themselves, they step out of the box every pitch and say, I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. Yeah. Because if you don't believe you're the greatest, you never will be by accident.
Yeah.
And if you want to be the greatest, and Troy McQuaig said it to me one time. He goes, Nick, if you chase perfection, you'll stumble upon excellence.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
yeah, you will.
And looking back, Nick, the baseball player, I didn't know how to properly set goals. I achieved my goals. I got as far as I thought I would.
Yeah.
I should have believed more. I should have dreamed more, believed harder, and who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
You know? Because the one thing about old Nick is that I will not quit.
See, but that's the other ingredient to faith. And we didn't share this, but Jesus hoped we would get it. And the Bible says faith is dead without that action.
That's right.
10% of it is faith. That's why the seed is that small.
Right.
But you getting up, discipline, that's action. Making the LLC, that's action. Making that phone call, that's action. Believing, that's a level of action. But moving your feet, that's action. It says it's dead on arrival if you don't go do something about what you have faith for. And I've watched, like, I'm sitting in your building right now with your names and accolades all over the place. I'm seeing faith in somebody who put massive action with their words.
That's right.
And some men can't do it. You can't do that on social media. Like, we stunned and rent cars. Like, man, you ain't made nothing yet.
That's right.
You ain't lost nothing yet.
That's right.
You haven't sacrificed. Your wife didn't leave you over this idea yet.
That's right. That's right.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And that the action to say, I got faith in this. I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna be a better man. And I'm going to be an amazing business guy. We're going to make crazy deals. We're going to create value for everybody. Those two together can make a baby, bro. Hey.
Folks, we're hanging out with Antjuan Robinson, founder and CEO of the Eagle Eye Experience, Central Coast Creatives, soon to be Think Like This, right?
Think Like This EdTech coming out 2025, baby.
That's right. And the Manual Podcast Show. You can catch them on Instagram at AntjuanIM and on YouTube at the Manual Podcast Show. What are the other URLs, brother, that they might need to know if they want to go anywhere, reach out, or do anything like that?
Yeah, just AntjuanIM. That should be all the handles for those.
Perfect. Yeah. And dude, is there, like, honestly, I could sit here all afternoon with you, and we should, but there might be some other things. I'd love to do a part 2, part 3, part 4, just on everything that we're doing.
Yes,
but any kind of final thoughts, or, like, again, the world that I live in, what I'm wanting to build with you. Yeah. The biggest obstacle in the way is the knowledge and education. Yeah. It's they don't quite understand that what they see. It's just like anything else. You see the guys playing playing in the NBA, and you don't realize all the levels that they had to accomplish and achieve to get there. Yeah. All the hours of practice that they played before they ever got paid. Yeah. And so on and so forth. And I was talking to a buddy yesterday. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm just I'm chasing speaking gigs." And I'm like, and I asked him, I was like, "How often do you practice?"
Come on, bro. Where's the discipline at?
That's it. And it's something like, for me, I have to practice keynote speaks. You know how many times I sat at this desk and recorded a podcast before we ever recorded a podcast?
Yeah. Come on, man.
And it's something that I'm always thinking about. What can I do to get better? But you have to practice it. Just like you go to the driving range, hit golf balls. Yeah. Yeah. Just like you take practice rounds before the tournament. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Because whatever you're chasing, with true discipline, will start to chase you.
That's right. You'll start to attract it, right?
Come on.
That's right. Man. So, that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing now is they don't understand the skill set required to make great stuff that we're doing right here.
Yes, sir.
And then, so the skill set of the people that you hire, and that you get what you pay for, just like anything else. Yeah. And then obviously the learning curve of this is all so new to so many people. Yeah. When really it's not. They've been watching TV. They watched celebrities endorse products in commercials. It's we're all doing the same thing that's been done. It's just now anybody can do it. Yeah. Anybody can have their own network. Yeah.
Easy.
So that's the biggest thing is, like, podcasting, the evolution of podcasting is mirroring radio to TV, like literally step by step, just faster. Time has just collapsed. So, dude, what would be any final thoughts for folks that are, again, the worst thing that can happen by everything I'm doing here in this studio and everything else that I've done is if I left this earth tomorrow, my kids would have hundreds of thousands of hours of footage of Dad.
Come on, man.
That they can live with forever. My mom is coming in. She just turned 75. I asked her, I was like, would you come in and just shoot an interview with me?
Beautiful.
Not even because of anything else other than selfishly, I will always have that high quality footage of Mom that I can watch years after she's gone.
Oh my goodness. That's an inheritance. That's what that is.
Absolutely.
That's a clear inheritance, a digital inheritance, man. That's beautiful. I would leave a couple things that all kind of sum up to one thing. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, that's exactly who you are. We started with greatness, going from good to great, to being good enough to just be good so that you can receive greatness when it comes to you. My other favorite mentor, Earl Nightingale. If y'all don't know Earl, he's not even here anymore. But his words, like you just mentioned, I want to be able to look back.
Strangest secret changed my life.
Changed my life. Mm-hmm. What does it say? You are what you think you are. Mm-hmm. As a man thinketh, that's who he is. I would like to even add on to that. From Napoleon Hill, which is a good friend who set the bar for Earl.
That's right.
I think Jesus set the bar for both of them.
That's right.
Then Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, which is one of my favorite books, probably my number 2 besides the Bible. He said, if a man can conceive of a thing and believe in a thing, he can achieve a thing. And really all what we're talking about, you can be, you can do, you can have if you become the thing you wish to be, do, and have.
That's it.
That's it.
And the mind can't comprehend the negative, right? Simon Sinek said that.
Yeah.
Skiers focus on the path, not the obstacles. Pilots focused on the path, not the obstacles.
Yeah.
And even as a hitter, I learned, as a baseball player and a coach, when you're up there trying not to swing at a ball over your head, you forget to swing at the ball that you're supposed to hit down below, right? So instead of saying don't swing at a ball over your head, you got to be saying no, swing at a ball here. Yeah. And don't worry about what you shouldn't do. Yeah. Worry about what you should do.
Yeah.
The Hitstreak is powered by Rack Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, Rack Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out Rack Financial.
The thing that changed my life in The Strangest Secret, which is like a 45-minute audio book.
Nothing.
It's nothing. It's that's right. Yeah. It's literally like a half-mile walk down the road. Yeah. But he challenged it. He said, "There's an exercise." He said, "Get out an index card and write 10 of the easiest goals that you can do every day for 30 days in a row."
Yeah.
And okay, so my wife got it out. We got our index card. We got all these colored pencils and markers. Our card's going to be the most beautiful card ever made.
Yeah.
We already messed up and didn't even know it. Wrote it down, and I'm like, hey, what are we going to do? We're talking. We're like, yeah, we need to drink more water. We're going to drink like a gallon of water every day. All right, cool. Yeah. We want to eat better, so we're gonna eat any sugars, and then we're gonna sleep this much. And it was all these things that if in a perfect world where everything goes your way, you might achieve those things. But the catch is when you don't do all 10 of those things, you rip the card up, have to make another and start over on day 1.
Yeah.
It was the 16th card when we realized we were the problem.
Yeah.
It was like, instead of drinking a gallon of water, well, what can we do every day when we're sick?
Yeah.
We can drink water.
Yeah.
Right. I can wake up and be grateful for another day.
Small habits.
That's right. I can read my card right before bed and make sure I did everything. I just named 3 out of the 10 things right there, and I ain't got up yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we learned how to set adequate goals for what it is we were trying to accomplish. We learned that, again, if you can't do something like 30 days, if you can't do it 30 days in a row, there's something off there anyways.
Yeah.
I tell people that with content and stuff. Can you do that 30 days in a row?
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're trying to do. But that one little exercise changed our life, because again, my card, I still have it. We still do this. Now my card is the most basic pencil written thing, easy. No colors. That's right. Easy. Because again, it wasn't about how good the card looked.
Yeah. I
made it about something that I couldn't understand the task at hand.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had perspective on everybody else, and myself included, about, oh man, we're just going about this all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so simple, and we've complicated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love that.
Dude, thanks for the hang today.
Bro, that's what we're here for, man.
Thanks for the hang
you
today.
Have me anytime, man.
And after we close out this episode, we got some business to conquer.
Yeah, we do.
You know what I mean?
We got to put some action to that faith, baby. Let's go.
That's right. Folks, once again, my brother, Antjuan Robinson, Central Coast Creatives, the Eagle Eye Experience, and the Manual Podcast Show, in Ed Tech, Think Like This. He's been doing God math his whole life, and we're going to keep getting better at math, baby.
Thank you, Nick, man. You are a stud, man, but more importantly, you are someone I'm going to tell my great grandsons about.
Likewise.
Yes, sir.
Likewise. Well, folks, all I can tell you is you hadn't seen nothing yet, because him and I are just getting started. And the one thing I can promise is it's going to be really, really good.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be nothing short of unstoppable, as a matter of fact. So thanks again for the hang, brother. I appreciate you.
You got it. My honor.
Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.